Films, television, comic books, toys, Batman is everywhere. Audiences have seen him decked out in blue, gray, black, with and without eyebrows and bat nipples, and of course, video games. Batman has appeared in over 50 video games, and that number will continue to grow as time goes on. It's clear that Batman isn't always the same person, and I'm not just talking about Bruce Wayne or Dick Grayson or Jim Gordon donning the cowl. I mean that many serial instances of Batman can oftentimes be considered in their own universe. Comic book characters, like the gods of old, are ripe for interpretation and retellings. The swinging 60s Batman dancing the Batusi can't really be the same as Frank Miller's, or Scott Snyder's, or Christopher Nolan's, or Tim Burton's Batmen. And the same can definitely be said for Rocksteady's and Warner Bros. Games' interpretation of Batman in the Batman Arkham series.
Get off me!
There are many similarities between them all, but the Arkham series Batman is a beast all his own. Assumptions can be made from the series canon to fill in some story gaps, but it's best to forego assumption and instead build on solid evidence. Evidence that Arkham Batman might be the most tragic and flawed hero in the entire Batman multiverse. On Christmas Eve, a new class of criminal arrives in Gotham City. The Joker, disguised as the Black Mask, commits multiple murders, incites a major prison riot, and executes a daring bank heist. Batman struggles to keep up, because he's not only facing the Joker, but also the 8 supervillains who want the $50 million bounty on his head. Batman defeats the supercriminals, but not before major damage is done to Gotham's infrastructure, to the Batcave, and to Batman's faithful lifelong friend and assistant, Alfred Pennyworth.
You didn't listen.
I'm not big on taking orders from wanted men.
I'm not big on taking orders from cops.
Batman bests the Joker, but spares his life despite the atrocities he's committed.
Now I understand. There are no chance encounters. It was all meant to be. Everything leading up to who I've met tonight.
Did anyone catch the game last night?
Fast forward to the events of Batman Arkham Asylum and the beginning of the Rocksteady trilogy. The game begins with Batman returning the Joker to the infamous Asylum after the Joker ran amok in downtown Gotham. Batman notes that his nemesis put up little fight, as though he wanted to be caught. His instincts were correct.
Joker's loose. Alert the warden.
The joke's on you.
Harley Quinn and Joker's men have set up a full facility takeover, and they turn the asylum into a sort of super fortress, complete with its own built-in army of violent offenders and super criminals.
I see you, Batman.
The Joker's calculated return to Arkham is to complete his forced research on Bane, taking his venom and altering it into a much more powerful substance the Joker calls Titan. Before Batman can reach the Joker, he catches several doses of Scarecrow's fear toxin, and the player gets to see inside the mind of Batman. Batman is plagued by some very unique fears. 1. He's completely emotionally crippled over the loss of his parents. Though the crime was committed when he was a child, he's never forgotten the events of their murder in Crime Alley, nor has he forgiven. He hasn't forgiven the perpetrator, he hasn't forgiven himself for not standing up and saving them, he hasn't even forgiven the police officers who filed the report claiming that Bruce will be fine because of his wealth. 2. He's afraid of death. This is shown in a few different ways. Fighting off literal skeletons, he becomes lucid in a nightmare and punches his way up from his own grave in a stereotypical zombie fashion. While in the asylum morgue, he hallucinates seeing 3 body bags, one for his father, one for his mother. The final, presumably for him, holds Scarecrow, the physical manifestation of fear in human form. 3. He's afraid of losing his sanity. The Bruce Wayne persona barely exists. Batman sees himself as Batman first, and Wayne second. This is shown in a nightmare scenario as Batman sees several versions of Batman, not Bruce Wayne, trapped in psychiatric confinement, ranting, raving, and rocking to himself. These sequences happen inside his own mind, so the writers and the developers could have placed adult Bruce Wayne models in those cells. His identity would have remained safe from Scarecrow, as is evident from the fact that they had already shown Batman's alter ego as Bruce Wayne in child format. 4. He's afraid of becoming the Joker. In a very linear one-to-one exchange of events, Batman sees himself and the Joker trading places. The Joker is seen driving the Batmobile, the Joker is escorting an insane Batman strapped to a gurney, but most importantly, the player controls the Joker in these sequences. This wouldn't be a simple matter of losing his mind. This would be losing his mind and hurting a lot of people in a very calculated way in the process. But back to the story. Batman finally confronts the Joker face to face, who injects himself with a gigantic dose of Titan. Batman defeats the Joker and he's placed back into confinement. While fans of the series, myself included, didn't care much for this final battle, the injection of Titan works well as a story setup for the events of Joker's Titan sickness in Arkham City. After Bruce Wayne's attempt to legally topple the super prison of Arkham City, Batman tears the place down from the inside. While he's inside, Batman is captured and injected with Joker's blood, which, thanks to Titan, is killing him. The Joker claims that he's also sent out samples of his blood to hospitals around the city, risking the lives of countless civilians. Now tied to the same fate, Batman must cure himself and save Gotham by creating a cure for the Joker. Mr. Freeze helps Batman synthesize a cure, while Robin tries to track down the blood shipments. But in order to put the final touches on the formula, Batman needs a sample of Ra's al Ghul's blood. The Joker kidnaps Batman's former lover and daughter of Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, to force Batman's hand in delivering the final version of the formula. Joker kills her in cold blood. Batman injects himself, and in a semi-cruel twist of fate, the Joker attacks Batman and unintentionally destroys the only remaining cure.
Do you want to know something funny? Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you.
That actually is pretty funny.
The Joker dies right there on the floor, and Batman carries his corpse out for the world to see. Nine months pass after Joker's death, and Gotham appears to be at peace. And the Joker is definitely dead. The first thing the player does is cremate his remains. Scarecrow releases a small dose of his fear toxin into a crowded diner in central Gotham. The results are terrifying. He threatens to set off a toxin burst large enough to infect every citizen in the city, and has the means to do so, which causes a mass panic and a near citywide evacuation. Similar to the events of Arkham Origins, Scarecrow invites several supervillains to break down Batman and expose him for what he truly is. Just one man, who, like all citizens of Gotham, is crippled and overwhelmed by fear. But something strange happens early in the game, something a little unpredictable.
Miss me?
Batman starts to see the Joker wherever he goes. There is no cure for Joker's blood, and for 9 long months between the two games, Batman has been slowly inching his way towards death. But before death takes him, his personality would become more and more like that of the Joker's. The fear toxin isn't a cause of the hallucinations. It's not a catalyst. It's an accelerant to Joker's blood. It amplifies one of Batman's greatest fears, which was foreshadowed in Batman Arkham Asylum. You see, Joker was experiencing these same symptoms in Arkham City.
You have one missed call.
At last? Hey, Bats. Where you been? I was just calling to find out how you're feeling. Are you getting the hallucinations yet? I know. It's hard to tell these days. You just never can tell if it's Scarecrow again, that little guy with the hat, my blood running through your veins, or if after all this time, you really are actually going crazy.
Scarecrow's new right-hand man, the Arkham Knight, appears to know Batman intimately. He's even aware of the alternate Bruce Wayne persona. More than anything, he wants Batman dead. Why? Because he's Jason Todd, former Robin, tortured by Joker for months, and up until the events of Arkham Knight, assumed dead by Batman. In reality, he was being twisted and brainwashed to hate his former friend and ally. In Batman's care are 4 civilians infected with Joker's blood. Tim Drake, the current Robin, is frantically testing their blood, hoping to find a cure while Batman dashes around the city, putting a stop to Scarecrow's plans. Robin is snatched up by Scarecrow, and Batman is left with one final option: to face down his fears and come clean as Batman on camera while surrendering to Scarecrow. Jason Todd turns on Scarecrow, frees Batman, and escapes while Batman injects Scarecrow with a massive dose of his own fear toxin. After turning Scarecrow in and cleaning up the remnants of the supervillains in the city, Batman takes off his cowl, becomes Bruce Wayne, and initiates the Nightfall Protocol.
We just saw Bruce Wayne, now known to be the masked vigilante Batman, enter his home, refusing to come.
Time goes by, and Jim Gordon is seen elected as mayor of Gotham. Outside his commencement party, a crime is shown that mirrors the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne, but a Batman intervenes, and the screen cuts to black. Typically, the dichotomy of Batman and Bruce Wayne is an important one. Arguments have been made in the past that Bruce Wayne, the emotional person, died completely when his parents were murdered in Crime Alley, and Batman was born on that day. Since then, Bruce Wayne doesn't put on the Batman costume. It's Batman who dons the disguise of Bruce Wayne to hide his true identity. But the Bruce Wayne character's role is often imperative to justify the existence and harshness of Batman in comics and film. Typically, Wayne is the generous philanthropist, the entrepreneur, hoping to continue his parents' work and advance Gotham City into an era of prosperity. He also does a fair amount of initial detective work. When Wayne can't solve a conundrum during the day on his own through legal channels, Batman takes over at night. Without Wayne, Batman is boiled down to a wealthy person, with too much time on his hands, a violent antisocial personality disorder, and a tendency to take out his aggression on people he suspects are offenders to his personal twisted code of ethics. So, a rich guy playing dress-up with expensive toys who beats up on poor people at night. And that is almost how he exists in the Arkham series. Bruce Wayne only makes a few appearances across all 4 games, and he's not painted in the best light. He's seen as a child during a nightmare flashback reliving the death of his parents in Arkham Asylum. In Arkham City, he corrects Vicky Vale, rather snidely, that he's a billionaire and not just a millionaire just before he announces his petition to remove the supersized prison. The prison that's already built and staffed with a small military as guards, and has perimeter walls a dozen stories high. It's a massive case of too little too late. And the player sees him again in the finale, just as he takes off his mask, admits he's Batman, and is allegedly killed in a fiery explosion that engulfs all of Wayne Manor. As a character, Wayne barely exists, and since there's little good evidence of Wayne being the quirky playboy, or the entrepreneur, or the clever businessman, players can safely deduce that Wayne tilts closer to the mentally afflicted, violent rich guy who likes to beat people up for fun, and boss around the police department, because there's plenty of evidence of that. And that's largely due to Wayne's third side of his personality, the Joker. In many ways, the Joker is what Batman is always on the brink of becoming, and in some ways, he is who Batman wants to be. The Joker can laugh at life, while the stoic Batman and Bruce Wayne can never crack a smile. The Joker is nobody. His identity is a mystery. There's no public record of his DNA, no trace of his name or age or place of origin, but Bruce Wayne must continually struggle with being born into wealth and notoriety. His Batman persona, clouded in its own mystery, is one step closer to Joker. But most importantly, the Joker can, and does, kill. Batman struggles to not cross that line. He's already violent, but murder would put him at the same level as the person who killed his parents. The undercurrent of the entire Arkham franchise is this constant battle, both mental and physical, not for the peace of Gotham, though that is at stake, but for the control of the mind and the life of Bruce Wayne. Which side of his personality is the strongest? It's not Bruce Wayne, so it's down to Batman or the Joker. Though it wasn't apparent to me as I played through the games individually over the years, the entire Arkham series, yes, even Origins, does a good job of telling a Batman vs. Joker story. My first thought was that Rocksteady didn't know how to properly make a Batman game without the Joker, thus his appearance in Arkham Knight. But after going through the series in chronological order, everything makes a weird sense, and it even draws some pretty fascinating parallel themes. In Origins, the two clash for the first time and realize their fates would be bound to one another. In Asylum, Batman fears that he may become the Joker. In City, the Joker infects Batman and turns that fear into something tangible. In Night, Batman loses control of some of his actions and almost becomes the Joker because of Joker's incurable blood.
So how's it hanging, Harv? Color me insensitive, but I've always wanted to ask, did everything get split down the middle?
Now, before everyone shakes off the claim that Batman wasn't acting under his own power the entire game, that he's fought off the Joker's will and a physical ailment through the sheer power of his ironclad convictions, it's important to note several factors. To start, in Arkham Knight, he's an unreliable narrator. He regularly sees and hears things that aren't there. He sometimes acts upon these figments as though they're reality. At one point, he believed he placed himself into incarceration to prevent himself from turning into the Joker and committing atrocities. But in reality, he throws Tim Drake into his own cell. His actions leading up to the events of Arkham Knight are very Joker-esque. For 9 months, coincidentally roughly the same amount of time it takes to grow a human inside you, Batman has been carrying around Joker's blood, and it's not fully known the extent of Joker's control at the time. But Batman does several extremely questionable things. He kidnaps 4 civilians and imprisons them for his own testing. These aren't violent criminals. Batman didn't go to some doctor and say, hey, let me help you with treating them on the down low. He didn't approach the hospitals as Bruce Wayne with his billions of dollars to create special wards for their care and potential recovery, like he often does with Blackgate Prison and GCPD creating special holding facilities for Gotham's supercriminals. They were peaceful, law-abiding people, and they were kidnapped. If the player reads the newspapers in the diner at the start of the game, one of them is a school principal who's missed so much that his friends, family, and coworkers are holding vigils in his honor.
I will not calm down. I've had enough of your prodding and poking, locking me up with these maniacs. You have no right to keep me here. No right!
This forced medical internment parallels nicely with Arkham Asylum. In Asylum, Joker captures and tortures Bane to create the sickness. In Night, Batman kidnaps and tortures these 4 civilians to try and create the cure. Oh, and it's also important to note, these 4 individuals died during their false imprisonment on his watch. I'm no lawyer, but I think it's a safe bet that even if someone dies after you've kidnapped them, you're probably pretty guilty of murder, even if you aren't the person pulling the trigger. And that makes Batman, mathematically, like twice the monster the guy who killed his parents was. Sounds pretty Jokerly to me. If this is the kind of thing Batman has done unconsciously, that we've seen within the game, what sorts of horrors did he do between games that the player will never know about? Many people complained about how much Arkham Knight relied on using the Batmobile. I am definitely in that camp as well. Batman, to me, should be about stealth, solving a mystery, and yeah, some beating up some super baddies. But the Batmobile turning into a bat tank in between games does follow the same twisted logic. In Asylum, the Batmobile is just a car. In Night, the car is turning into a weapon. Sure, it uses non-lethal rounds in quotes, but the transformation parallels Batman's own, as he mows down people who get in his way. As he turns more into the Joker, the Batmobile turns more into the Joker-mobile, and becomes an element of war and not peace.
Love the new car, Bats. Oh, all those guns. It's like an evil cloud was whispering in your ear as you drew up the designs.
As far as decision-making skills go, Batman challenges Deathstroke to a final tank confrontation right at the heart of Gotham Grand Avenue Station. I know anywhere within the confines of a major city, abandoned or otherwise, is a terrible place to have your tank fight, but that seems like the worst place, and most likely place Joker would want to have a tank fight. Couldn't he challenge him in the docks by all the shipping containers? A final point. Batman ditches the Batcave in Arkham Knight. In Asylum, he doesn't use his main Batcave, it's sort of his Batcave vacation spot on Arkham Island. But in Knight, he doesn't bother to use Batwing, the jet, not the person, to transport back to the cave under Wayne Manor, like he does in Origins. He's made a new base of operations out of an abandoned theater called Panessa Studios. The environment is very festive, light-hearted, but with a dark industrial undertone, just like Joker's fun park in Arkham City. Even Harley points out how much the Joker would have loved his choice of new pads.
How's it going, Bad Brain? Nice place you got here. I think my Joker would have liked it. Kind of place he would have picked.
So it seems the further away Batman goes from the mental institution, the crazier he becomes in the Arkham series. The story closes out with an explosion at Wayne Manor, and though a Batman is seen preventing a petty violent crime if the player completes the Nightfall sequence, the question on everyone's mind is Batman dead? It's always possible that the Bruce Wayne Batman is still alive and is using the explosion to rise again even stronger than before, but it would spoil one final beautiful parallel. The Joker died because he infected himself with the Titan disease, but Batman is also responsible for his death because he didn't administer the untested cure in time. Both Batman and the Joker killed the Joker. If Bruce Wayne kills himself in the explosion because he knows there's no cure for the Titan disease, then again, it would be a dual responsibility scenario. Both Batman and the Joker will have killed Batman. But even more important than that, it shows that Wayne has truly conquered all his major fears. By hanging up the mask, he proves he's no longer crippled by the loss of his parents, and he accepts his life, what's left of it, as Bruce Wayne. He's no longer afraid of going insane, and worse, eventually becoming the Joker. Those two nightmares have come true, but he's accepted them. And finally, by taking his own life, he's proven that he doesn't fear death anymore. The Tide Fates theme would ring true almost to a near romantic Romeo and Juliet scenario, and that is all just too cool to let go. I pray that if Warner Brothers ever picks this franchise back up, that they leave Bruce Wayne resting in peace. Personally, I'm going to take Jim Gordon literally when he says,
"This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died."
In hindsight, Rocksteady did an above-average job of telling a worthy Batman and Joker story. The breadcrumb trail of clues laid in place almost from the start are something to truly appreciate. I hope that Arkham Knight remains the finale, and that Warner Brothers doesn't do something foolish and whip up an unnecessary sequel. Are there problems with the games? Absolutely, both on the technical and gameplay sides of things. I'm hoping that whatever Batman game comes up next will use the Arkham series as a lessons learned guide. Personally, I would love it if future Batman titles turned the Dark Knight into more of a stealthy martial arts detective and less of a brawler. Gotham is a big city, full of possibility, full of real potential end game material, and not just junky Riddler question mark filler. I think it's also important to play as Bruce Wayne, to bring back that imperative balance of his personality and to put feet on the ground. It would be great to see Batman having real interactions with the Bat family. Most of all, I want to see a Gotham City full of life that's not constantly emptied by flimsy plot points of light snowfall and terroristic threats. The Arkham series was a good start. It was a great start, but there's still plenty of room for improvement. Considering the unlimited scope of the medium, video games could surpass, and should surpass film as Batman's home away from home when he's not in comic books. This video is made possible through generous fan donations on Patreon.